Hello, this is Kristen from Impressing Minds, and today I want to talk to you about reactive attachment disorder and start discussing my story. But first, I need to get into what is reactive attachment disorder, how it does it affect how it affects your family, how does it affect your family. And so basically this one will just be education about reactive attachment disorder and what it is. And specifically in my case, it was with foster children, a foster child and adoptive child. So reactive attachment disorder is most popular in foster children, although it doesn't have to be just foster children. It can be children who have been separated at birth from their mother and put up for adoption. It can be children who have been put in an incubator after a traumatic birth experience. So it's not just foster children, however, that's mostly where you'll see it and you'll see its effects. So first, I want to say that reactive attachment disorder is kind of new, and so there's not much education about it. There's not much information about it. There's not many studies about it. So when I'm telling you this and I'm explaining this to you, I'm explaining it as a friend who hopefully you can do more research and find out all about it, because I didn't know. 10, 12 years ago, the internet was there, but it wasn't as predominant as it is now. You can't just Google something and get scholarly, research articles about things. So let's talk about reactive attachment disorder. Is it too late for the prevention of reactive attachment disorder, or RAD? We'll call it RAD, R-A-D for short, in foster children? What is it? Reactive attachment disorder is when a child does not attach. It's reacting to an attachment disorder. A child who is reacting to an attachment that you're trying to make. So you're trying to attach, they're reacting to it. So if you have a foster child or you've adopted a child and you're trying to bond with them, it would be a good idea to see a therapist, right? But you don't want just any therapist. You want one that is specializing in attachment, because traditional therapy and traditional therapists aren't aware or aren't skilled in the attachment part. So they're giving you things and giving you examples and giving you, ideas and stuff, but it's not specific for an attachment disorder. When you're trying to attach to a child, or you're thinking, why doesn't he do anything I ask him to do? Why doesn't he try to please me? Why does he do the exact opposite of what I'm asking? They have all kinds of answers, but it's because of the attachment root. So they may give you some ideas that are going to make things worse, perhaps. And it cannot be behavior modification. You just cannot modify behavior. They are rebelling against the attachment. So that's the problem. So you need to find an attachment therapist if this is something that you're dealing with. So our first stint with this was when we adopted a child. We weren't really adopting. It was a foster child at first, and he got kicked out of K3 preschool. We have so many problems with just so much stuff, just so many things. Basically, wouldn't do anything that we asked. He would obey better for my husband than me. He would listen better, almost out of you know, like fear because he was bigger, but never really because he wanted to please us, as your normal birth children do. So I'm here now, hoping to come alongside you, make you aware of this disorder in order to help maybe your problems, and give you advice on everything that I've learned in the last 10, 11, 12 years, all the books that I've read, all the research I've done. So I'll just start with this, that at 3 years old, I thought we had an ADHD problem, and it manifested as ADHD, that he was so busy, so much on the go, that he couldn't stop and settle down, attach. We didn't really think about anything attaching. We thought, or bonding, you know, if you bond with someone, you want to hang out with them and spend time with them. He was just on the go so much that was not part of our problem, and we really didn't know what the problem was to deal with, actually. So he was just always on the go, always getting in trouble, and never could focus, we thought, on anything, which he couldn't, because it manifested like ADHD for the longest time. If I tried to hold him, snuggle with him, it was almost mechanical. And I remember one time it actually pushed away, like, get your hand off me. And in my ignorance, I said, okay, you must not be a touchy-feely kind of guy. So a lot of guilt also for not knowing at the time what was going on, and not forcing more snuggles and attachment and bonding, physical and emotional. It would have been hard, but lots of guilt. But I was okay with him pushing away. I was okay with him pushing away, but I didn't know why he was pushing away. And so I just was like, he must not be that kind of guy. So it was just a difficult situation. All right. So, reactive attachment disorder. He wasn't ADHD. He did have ADHD, I guess. He was very hyper. He couldn't hold attention for anything. In fact, when he first came to our house, he couldn't pay attention to the TV shows. So we were trying to encourage him to watch. It was like, you know, if you turn a TV show on for a child, you feel like they should be able to watch it. We had to pretty much teach him how to watch TV. I felt like a prisoner in my own home, not a minute of free time, constantly observing, watching, where is he, what is he doing. I had no real babysitters because so much going on, him moving around, he wouldn't listen. But anyway, so we got him out of the preschool, or he was out of the preschool, got him into a babysitter, and it was great for a long time. He did great. Before we adopted him, we knew something wasn't right. We just didn't know what. Like, why wouldn't this child listen? Why wouldn't this child obey? Well, we didn't understand. So I remember having a meeting with the guardian ad litem, and we talked about something not right. And he kind of, you know, they're all busy and stuff. They don't know anything about child psychology or therapy or anything. We went ahead with it. And so there we were. Then really I was stuck. I feel like I was stuck because I wasn't stuck with the child. I was stuck with being alone. I didn't have any resources. I didn't have anyone I could talk to. I didn't want anyone to know what I was really going through because I was embarrassed of being a failure as a mother. I didn't want anyone else to know that I was having so many problems. And another problem was most of the time he was so charming in public whenever I would take him out. Such a handsome guy, so cute, and so small. It was a very small child, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, very small. So it was just a charming kid. I remember one day, this is when I thought something is not right. We were at the park and he went up to a complete total stranger and asked them for a drink of their pop. And I was appalled. Not that he would drink out of someone else's pop. We knew that was a problem because of the foster issue, the foster care issue, but that he would go up to the stranger and ask for his need to be met when he didn't come to me because he knew I wouldn't let him have pop anyway. That would increase the hyperactivity actually. So we eliminated so many things. We had him on a Feingold diet, just so many things. But anyway, I felt like I was all alone after the adoption. I didn't know who to turn to. I didn't know what to do. I felt like I was all alone. I actually quit working and homeschooled because I thought that would help with routine and consistency and a caregiver. He wouldn't be at school with the teacher and then home with me, or maybe aftercare. I would be working. I thought so. We sold our house so I could stay home. So we thought these problems could be because he was all boy. They say all boy. He's all boy. So he was rowdy all the time. And I remember discipline was so bad because, of course, when they're foster kids, you can't spank them, which is what we usually would do with our own children, not in any, violent way at all, but just as a last resort almost, and so we couldn't spank them. And then he would spend a lot of time in the corner, and that's something else I didn't know. I didn't know any other techniques and tools and tricks to use for discipline, and actually he didn't really need discipline, he needed connection. And so there's a lot of guilt there. Nothing worked. Nothing I did worked. So I'm not going to talk about the prevention of reactive attachment disorder. I don't think it can be prevented from the foster care standpoint. If I had known what I know now, I certainly would have made better choices and better decisions. But some other signs that I noticed, I'll just kind of go through a list of them, was that he didn't listen. He argued about everything from everything. The color of, I would say the sky is blue. He would say, no, the sky is not blue, it's red. The sky is purple. He cried all the time. He very emotional. Disobedient. He was wild. He wouldn't let me cuddle him. And it almost felt like an emotional overload that he was on. And then I was also on an emotional overload as well. And then we were all pretending to be a really big, happy family because of it. So that put even more stress because I didn't want anyone to know that I was a failure at the time. Now I know that I'm not the failure. I wasn't the failure, that something was wrong before he came and we didn't catch it in time. So that's why I want to try and help you. But he'd never met a stranger, so he would never be suspicious of anyone or not talk to anyone, not walk away with anyone, not be able to converse with someone ever. He never could get along with people that he knew, though. So, like, he would make a friend, then would be their friend, then he would argue with them or manipulate them, one or the other, to do what he wanted. He would always argue in a very adult-like manner, very logically, actually. Never any downtime before falling asleep. Never. It's like, well, kind of like ADHD, I guess, because you'd be hyper, 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 and you would just fall out asleep. Could not stay on task, didn't focus anywhere except for finally television. And I could never trust him to be alone, really. I never let him shut the door. I never shut my door, hardly, like, was always, like, in the next room. So these may not be the typical symptoms. I'm going to go over some more of the other symptoms I've found from some support that I've recently, found and figured that it's not all, unique to me, but other people have these problems as well. So this is my first video. I hope that, this is good to share this way, kind of like a vlog, just me. I feel like I'm just rambling, but I'm trying to go sequentially some of the disorder with some of my story. So my advice to you at this point would be get help as soon as possible. As soon as possible when you feel like you want to adopt this child, but there's just something that makes you feel like they're not attached to you or they're not bonded to you. We talk about bonding within infants a lot, but what about when they're 3? What about when they're 5, 10? Can it be done? Can you bond with someone who's older? I have a lot of things I'm researching right now. So I also want you to know another reason to choose a great foster care agency is because I didn't feel like I could talk to them and tell them that I was struggling and that I needed help, or I never took respite even. I didn't even want them to think I needed respite because I didn't want them to think, what's the big deal? What's wrong with you? Why do you need a break? I never complained about anything. When I should have, we met with a lawyer because we thought there may be some issues with him early on, but I never complained that I couldn't do it or that I needed help. So there's a little bit of difference. My own pride got in the way, and because I had an agency, I'll call it an agency, that was not a really good fit for us. I didn't feel like I could talk to them. Please like and subscribe to the video, and then hit the bell so that you'll know when I upload the next part of the story. And let me know in the comments what you think and if you're having any of the same issues that I am. So I hope that my advice, my information is useful for you.